to another session of Power of Prayer, your place for mantra meditation and wisdom talks. My name is Jagannatha, and today we're speaking with Acyuta Gopi, and we are going to be talking about when you've prayed, what do we do next? Because we're talking about prayer, but what do we do next? That's the question. So I'm just going to add a now, and then at the same time, we are going to be discussing this. So thank you everybody for joining from where you are. And hey, Acyuta, how are you?
I'm good.
He's really
I'm
good.
hanging in.
You know what? I was looking forward to today. It's been a long day, and I thought, what more better than to discuss this point with yourself? So everyone that may not know Acyuta Gopi, she is an amazing author. She's also a Grammy nominee, and also she's been one person that through this lockdown and started before, but even more through this lockdown, been sharing so much wisdom, especially from the Bhagavatam and the scriptures. And it's just really been lovely to listen to you. You do that every day, is that correct?
I had been. And since last week when we did the Power of Prayer, that was kind of like the last one that I did. And I haven't really spoken for a week. I got sick and I lost my voice. So I'm still getting it back. So this is kind of like the first time in a week that I've been back speaking. Yeah.
No. So it's really good to have you back. And one thing we want to just let everyone know is that we've been talking about the power of prayer. We've been saying, some personalities, how they prayed. We've been talking about it, but what do we do now? So this is something Acyuta Gopi today, we was like, hey, what do we do now? So we thought we'll discuss this. So Acyuta Gopi, just a realization, what made you wanted to go into this part now? That what do you do now? What was the feelings coming out? And
it just felt like today there was such a surge of what happens when it looks like our prayers might not be answered the way we think they should be, or what happens when we have been praying and we feel like there is no answer. And I found myself thinking about Krishna and thinking, okay, what now? And I have always said one of the best ways to pray and one of the best ways to be spiritual is to first and foremost be honest. And so that's just kind of where it came from, the feeling of wanting to be honest, to kind of reveal what can even be our own turmoil at sometimes, just that little confusion where we've been praying, I'm a good person. I chant Hare Krishna, I do service, I do these things. And okay, what now? What does it mean?
Yeah. And sometimes it can, do you feel it feels that, okay, like you're saying, we're doing all this prep, we're doing it, but it's like hitting a plateau or, like, okay, I've done this, I'm doing this. But hey, is somebody listening? Is somebody there? Faith works on a two-way basis, doesn't it? We do something, and then somehow there's some reciprocation in some shape or form. And then after that, we then will carry on doing more and more. So yeah, we prayed. What do we do now? So what, this realization, what you're having, I'm sure if you're having the same type of realization out there, please put a heart. It'd be lovely to hear from you. I can just see, thank you, Leela Manjari, Davidasi, for joining. Thank you, Rini Mandel. I can see Akhim Surya joining. So many of you have joined today. It's really appreciated. And we want to also see, what's your thoughts? What do you do now? How are you finding praying? What realizations you've had? So just on that basis, see, because you've got the aspects, the different ways of praying. We've got, you can just do a prayer. You could do your meditation. You can do all these different things. But how do we, after a while, if the way you're saying it, it'll make us feel like, okay, we'll do it for a bit. And if we don't get some reciprocation or whatever, we will go vroom.
Yeah.
So this, what do you do now? I think is very key of how we can do it. So what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah. I think that it takes a consistent and a concerted effort. And I think that is the meaning to when we speak about devotional service being unmotivated and uninterrupted. You know, we hear these terms tossed around so much: unalloyed devotional service, unmotivated, uninterrupted. But what does that really mean? Sometimes it means that when everything gets thick, when we are in the thick of it, do we stop praying when we seemingly don't get what we want? Or do we continue in spite of everything because we are now motivated? So when they say unmotivated, does that really mean that there's nothing there? There's no motivation? No. And in that regard, Srila Prabhupada says, even in becoming meditators, right? Even in our meditation, we as Krishna conscious people never just meditate on nothing. Because he says, you know, once you tell your mind to think of nothing, then you're automatically thinking of something.
Yeah.
So there is no thinking of nothing. So what is it that we then meditate on? We try and gear and focus with laser pointed focus on Krishna. We try to center it on Krishna. So in that same way, is there such a thing as no motivation? I don't think so. I think in some way, shape, or form, we are always going to have and need some kind of motivation. That motivation then becomes love rather than fear, rather than distress, rather than I just want God to solve this problem and make me rich, rather than all of that. I think that the greatest motivator must be love. It has to be that I'm praying to you and I know it is because I'm in distress, but ultimately I'm going to pray to you and I'm going to keep praying to you no matter what, because we have a relationship. We have a loving bond, and that is something that I can't give up no matter what.
So that brings me onto this. So you said about motivation, and the motivation needs to be love. Okay. So if we have love, then we can in a way that's what's going to help us to keep sustaining it, keeping that relationship going. But how do we develop that love? Like I think you mentioned a few points: unalloyed devotion, unmotivated. And with love, some of it can be like, for example, if I just use a very crude example, unmotivated would be sometimes when, let's say unalloyed, that you do something for somebody else because you love them. But even then, when you're doing something for that person, what happens is you get happy because you've done something and they've appreciated it. So even now in this material world, is there such a thing as unmotivated? It's like, it's such a high conception. And sometimes I feel that people may feel that it's a very difficult path to tread. And that's why, some will say, you know what, I'll try something easier. So I want to ask the question, because you mentioned the word love. How do we develop that love? Because yes, we talked about praying, but how can we have that love that it's such that when we're calling out, that it's not just a reciprocate, hey, like you mentioned, hey, please help me. I need this, I need that. But it's actually as calling out as you would to someone that you love, like it's your own family. So what can we do? What is it that you felt that we can do to do that?
First off is to seek out those people that have it. And we know them when we see them. You know, when you see that person and you think that person's got it, even if I can't name that it factor, I know that they've got it. And I need to go figure out how they got what they got, because they are experiencing something that is beyond my conception. When we look at our spiritual teachers, when I look at Jayapataka Maharaj, when I look at Radhanath Maharaj, when I look at Sachinandan Maharaj, I see these generals, these stalwart people who have it. And it makes me run and say, okay, I need to figure out what they've got. And they all say the same thing. They all say it's loving devotional service. Emphasis on the love first, like
Yes.
And so we have to find those people who inspire us, who light that spark, and then fan that spark into a flame. Sachinandan Maharaj wrote a really profound short meditation. And I think it's like a small book to help with japa meditation called Nam Rahasya, the mysteries of the holy name. And he writes a short meditation which goes something like, "Oh my Lord, I have an eternal relationship with you, but I have somehow forgotten my relationship. Please help me. You are my real home. You are my real shelter." And that prayer was always something that was just, it was short, it was sweet, but it was everything. It was everything. We're looking for home. We're looking to be loved and to give love. We're looking for that shelter, which encompasses the heart shelter. Like everyone is looking for shelter from those miseries that are gonna come, regardless of who you are. So it was such a short and sweet prayer, but it had everything in it. The fact that, okay, there's a relationship there. The person who has the amnesia is me. It's not Krishna. Krishna, he's the one who remembers and says, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all of these people here, which means there was never a time when we were not connected to him. And it's just up to us to reclaim that connection, which means it's already ours. It's already there in our heart. It's just a re-establishing of that relationship.
There's that. I remember when I came into like the spiritual movement, and I just when you just talked about that, I remember I was taken into the kitchen where we were cleaning the pots and pans. Okay. And I still remember to this day, this aspect of, number one, what you're saying about this love aspect, that to get that connection with the divine. And somebody said to me that it's like your heart is like rusted and the Lord is like a magnet. How can a rusted heart attract to a magnet? It just doesn't. So he goes, when you're scrubbing, and I love this meditation. He said, when you're scrubbing, like you're cleaning the pots, you're using the scourer. When you're scrubbing, imagine you're scrubbing your heart, that the rust is coming off. And the more you scrub, the more that connection will be with the divine. And I remember saying that, I thought, this guy's just trying to get me to wash some pots. I love it. I'm really motivated and I'm going to do this. So thank you so much. I will try it out. And the same analogy has popped in my life so many times, even at the time when I was in Vrindavan, in the place Radhakund. And we had the fortune of just cleaning a very nice place. And the person said to me was that scrub like you're scrubbing your heart. So this point, what you're saying right now is like, when we do this type of menial service or something that is doing, it's like scrubbing our hearts, that rust is starting to wither away and the metal is showing, and then the magnet will attract. And the more we do it, the stronger that connection will become. So I just on that, I just wanted to share that, because I think when we're, like you said, the first thing is seeking those people, getting those people. And you just mentioned about getting that connection with the divine. And that's why I just wanted to just share. That's something I felt very good that this, and you'll see a lot of these people, they're so humble that they will do this type of services. They will, isn't it? Like Indra Prabhu, he used to clean the toilets. He used to do those jobs that people, oh yeah, I'm white, like if you're a minister or something, the prime minister, you wouldn't even see them cleaning the toilets.
Yeah.
But here they're doing this because this is the art. This is how we are going to elevate our consciousness.
And that analogy of scrubbing is it's so appropriate. And you can even take it a step further because that scrubbing doesn't feel great. It does not feel great.
No.
When it's happening. That cleaning process doesn't always feel so blissful and divine. We talk about chant and be happy and your life will be sublime, but sometimes it doesn't always feel great. Sometimes taking the medicine doesn't taste great. But we understand that the inside needs to detox. That inside needs to get clean. And sometimes you look at a pan and you can see the scratch marks. You can still see them even after you're done scouring. You use that steel wool, you can still see some of the scratch marks. So, we're gonna have those marks from where we've been cleaning. And the thing is to clean more, because the more we clean, the more that we also become attractive. Not only are we attracted to the Supreme, but we become attractive.
Look at that. Not just attractive, but you become the attracted. Right? Is that right?
Yeah.
This point about service that you made, I think that's another key point here then. Because so we seek out those people and then we do service. Now, everyone thinks service. When we say the word service, I think, yeah, okay, I'll do something I love doing. Yes, that's lovely. That's lovely. But actually, if you really want to use, like she's using that scourer, what's that scourer called? Like a metal scourer?
Yes, steel wool.
Steel wool. If you want to use the steel wool, that really get in there. Instead of using one of those, we have a place called Poundland here where you get these really cheapo ones and they don't really scrub much at all. Then you need to understand the service, because the more we have enjoyment for it, it's like that is not a steel wool. It's more of a cheapo type of scrubber. Yes, it will scrub, but how deeply it scrubs to give some connection is something else. So here, what we're trying to say is that service is so important. Actually, if you notice the names, at the end of our names, we have Das and Devi Dasi, and it's all in it. See, it's the servant of the servant. We're trying to be the servants. But sometimes in this material world, we're like feeling like we want to be the masters, because this world is based like that. I want to do this. I want to reach out to these many people. I want to conquer every platform you can get. You have these type of things, but as soon as we think to ourselves, I'm doing it in terms of a service, then we will start to actually be even better. Because remember, any service we do, if we have enjoyment in it, it's like we're just putting oil onto a fire. It's going to just go more and more, and we want it more. We want to get, never be completely satisfied.
Yeah.
But isn't it like, it's like, okay, I've done this. Okay, I want to do this. And then suddenly you go off track. And then it's more to do with you rather than the actual spiritual aspect. And then it will help you it will take you down. So here, that's the way I'm seeing it. Would you agree? Yeah.
And I love the point that you started to make about not just doing the things that you love, but when it becomes a struggle, when you're like, but I don't really like doing that part. That's when you start digging deep. That's when you start really digging in and trying to find out, am I doing this for Krishna, for my gurus, for my teachers, or am I doing this because my ego loves to do this?
Yeah.
And so that's when we get to that point where it's a little more unmotivated. in the material sense. And in the spiritual sense, everything is always motivated, but it's motivated by love. And so Krishna says that between he and the gopis, there is a constant competition. So the gopis will dress themselves up beautifully, thinking Krishna will be happy when he sees me. And then Krishna will dress himself up beautifully, thinking, but my devotees will be happy when they see me. And so he says, in this way, there's a competition which never has an end, because my love for my devotees is unlimited. And as parts and parcels of me, their love for me is unlimited. And that is the only thing that becomes unlimited. We are such limited, finite beings. But when we tap into that love for Krishna, that is when we tap into our unlimited nature. We have an unlimited capacity to love Krishna and to serve Krishna.
Wow. So we are limited, but when we tap into the unlimited, we have that unlimited ability to serve and love him. That's, the service aspect. So I think it's very key here, what we're trying to say. So everyone that's online, try to do something. And if you're, it may be Krishna for you, it may be Jehovah, it may be whatever name you want to call the divine, I will leave that to you. But utilize this aspect of service. When we serve from the heart, then spirituality will start. Okay, this is so important, right? Serve from the heart and spirituality starts. And when that type of service that we do, the more we don't like it, but we know it's beneficial for somebody else or etc., the more power it has in your spiritual life.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to become selfless rather than selfish. It's so important, and service is our key to help us in this. And just before we go on to some points, I just want to say just thank you. I've seen some amazing people come on. Sanatan Dharma Netherlands, right? Thank you so much. Madhvi, you're on. We got Moolan Patel. Hey, Patel, how you doing? Nidhi Yadav, Gayatri Kumari, JT23, Narendra. Just want to say thank you, everybody, for joining. It's it's lovely to be of service to all of you to try and do this. And we this is another thing. It's a way of trying to serve and to try and share with you some of our experiences or some of our realizations. But these realizations are coming from actually serving. So I know Acyuta Gopi herself, she serves the divine. You see the picture behind, you'll see you got Radha Govinda, and she serves on the altar, and really it must be nectarian. And I just want, just on the mood of service, can you just give us some realizations that you've been having when you're doing that service? Because you made the point that when we connected to the divine, everything becomes unlimited. And you're serving directly the divine, even though it may seem in this limited form, but when serving it, we are connecting to the unlimited. So I'm wondering, could you share some of the realizations you've had doing that service, and just help others that may want to one day do that service?
I was talking to my sister the other day, Sunday, and I was bringing up that we read that there are so many gopis. Some of the gopis are older, some of the gopis are small girls, and some of them will do such small services, you think. Like maybe it's one person's job just to collect cloves.
Yes.
And then she gives it to someone else. And then that person will do whatever they need to do. But her job is just to collect cloves. That's it. And so you could think, wow, it's a really small, far removed service. Like, like, is she happy doing that, all the time? And in Goloka Vrindavan, her spiritual life is centered around this one activity. And I was telling them that I was on the altar, and there was one Ekadashi, and it was during winter. And it's a special time when it's quite beneficial to put ghee on the body of the deity. It's like moisturizing. It's very good.
Ghee is like the most clarified butter we can ever get. The best of the best, right?
Great for your skin too. So, so yeah, there's a specific day where it's quite beneficial to put ghee on the deity. And I told my mom, and I was like, "Oh, Mom, I was just reading about this Ekadashi and all this," and so she said, "Well, go get the ghee then." And so I got the ghee and I got it, and there's just a little cotton ball, and I got the ghee and I handed it to her. And so and she said, "Okay, now you do it." And I remember I went home that night and I journaled about it, because ours is the evening service. So on Sundays, we'll put the deities to rest. We'll change them into pajamas, put them to sleep. And so I just remember journaling pages about just the one time, just before he went to sleep, I was able to rub Govinda's cheeks and his arms and his hands and just make sure that he felt somehow soothed. So someone might think that's a really like kind of a small service. I didn't dress him that day. I didn't say elaborate mantras that day. Did we freeze on Instagram?
Just my side. I'll just sort something out. Please keep on talking. I'm back.
Yeah. So, you know, I didn't chant elaborate mantras. I didn't dress them that day. My mom did that, but I could have gone on and on for so long, just about having the one opportunity to somehow make Krishna happy on a day where I was able to just rub ghee on his cheeks, on his face, on his hands, on his arms, on his feet. And it stayed with me, even though that happened last winter. And so I realized that no service is small. Not when we're actually thinking that Krishna is going to enjoy this service. Krishna is going to enjoy me. Srila Prabhupada says we should be yearning to be enjoyed by the Lord.
Yes.
So if we're thinking that, really, and my Guru Maharaj said years ago, he said, if we were cooking in the kitchen, and I remember because I used to be cooking in the kitchen. Actually, I still cook in the kitchen, but the deity kitchen. I used to cook in the prasadam kitchen for the devotees. And he said, if we were peeling potatoes thinking, Krishna personally will taste this potato that I've peeled. Srimati Radharani with her own hands will feed Krishna, and this will be the potato that he tastes. He was saying, just imagine what joy we'd be feeling just peeling that one potato if we really, really thought with faith and determination, Krishna is going to enjoy my offering. So he was impressing upon
Powerful.
us. Yeah, our mindset. He was saying that our mindset is everything. If we remember, if we really believe Krishna's going to enjoy this offering, doesn't matter how many other offerings there are, because Krishna's unlimited. So his ability to enjoy unlimited offerings is unlimited. So my one offering, whether it's a potato, one flower, one apple, whatever it is, Krishna is going to enjoy it so much. It changes our attitude.
Oh, wow. Mindset, everybody. This is important. That, you know, just on that, I remember when my spiritual teacher, when we were traveling, you know, going around the world with him, and everywhere we used to go, we would have individuals involved in certain services. So some would be looking after the food. That would be blessed food that we offered and then provided to him. Some would be looking after his clothes. Some would be doing just making sure the room's clean because of his disability. There was a lot of things he couldn't do himself, so he needed to have the help. And another thing was infection. We had to be careful he didn't get infection, so everything had to be cleaned. And I still remember now that we were in Dubai, and we were just getting late for a program, and I'm wheeling him out because he was on a wheelchair, wheeling him out. And then he said to me, "Who cooked the prasadam today? Who cooked?" And I said, "Gurumaj, we will show in a bit. We have to get." Then the kitchen door came, and he put his hand out, and he said, "No, I want to know who cooked because I want to thank him." Then we stopped, we thanked, and he said what dishes they were and what he felt. So it was really nice. And then even the people that would iron certain things, who ironed my clothes, just these little things is so key. In number one, it helps to the appreciation, but at the same time, it helps us to involve in service even more. And we see why? Because there's love there. Yeah. Because the reciprocation, it wasn't just, hey, let me just say, this person, he's actually showing love. And this is what service is about. You said it from the start. It all comes down to love, right? Motivation is love. And then we said, seek out those people. Like we're saying, this is one person that talking about here. And then we talked about service and the mindset. So I just want to share that. It's so true that the smallest things are so important. And the reason this is so true is because, like you mentioned, in the spiritual world, everybody is doing a specific service. And it may seem minute, but it's actually major. So if we have that mindset now and understand that everything is major, regardless what it is, that's the thing, isn't it? Like, that's where our mindset is coming in. You said about mindset, but how do we train it like that? Like, it's really nice. You shared that realization about Radhanath Maharaj was talking about the cooking. And I was talking about Jayapataka Swami Maharaj and that step. But how do we, like, that's nice. And people will listen to this. And because it's hit our hearts, we keep it a bit longer because we have that connection. But I'm thinking about the people out there right now. And I'm thinking how right now they'll be like, yes, I like that. But in a few days, our mindset will go back to the normal ways. Well, I know mine would if that was the case. So how do we get that mindset so firm that we can really relish the service?
Yeah, I think that's why mantra meditation is so important. That's why this recitation of the names of the person that you love is so important. Because if you were in a relationship with someone and you never called them, you wouldn't be in a relationship with them. Like, I guarantee you that, like you have your wife, and if you never called her, she'd be like, you know what? I don't think this is working the same way anymore. So, yeah, I mean, we have to remember to pick up that communication device, whether it's Japamala, whether it is our sacred space, our altar within our homes, whatever that, go into that sacred space and communicate with our supreme, divine, beloved friend. We have to communicate every day. We can write letters. We can chant the names of God, however you have received those names of God. And Srila Prabhupada often said, he said, whichever name is fine. Whichever name you've been taught, you chant that name with love and devotion.
That's it.
And that's how we solidify that relationship. We have to call our friend, tell our friend about our problems, tell our friend about our day, and then listen to hear about our friend's day. What's our friend doing during his day? And that's why I love Krishna consciousness, because it will give you a specific breakdown. Krishna does this between this time and this time, and then he'll go to sleep for 24 minutes exactly, and then he'll wake up, and then Krishna does this from this to this time. There is no ambiguity. I don't find myself guessing, wondering, oh, well, what about this? Well, Krishna's going to eat. And what is he going to eat? He's going to eat this, and this. He's going to have the emperor's meal. So many different preparations are going to be there, which, you know, when I hear that, some people might get discouraged thinking, Krishna, he'll eat so many preparations, you know, what can I do? I feel encouraged when I hear that. There's so many preparations, they're going to need a lot of help, which means my one potato, it has the greater possibility.
And actually, isn't it the pastime of Sudama? Isn't
Yeah.
it? With
Yeah.
with actually the flat rice, and that the way Krishna takes that, you know, and the way it was carried and transported was not the best way, but and especially given to someone who is the divine, he still wanted that flat rice, and he tasted it, and he was absolutely satisfied that everybody else wanted it. So it's great to know that actually, yes, we can give all the preparations. What he's looking for is love. So we don't have to be millionaires. We don't have to give everything in gold. All we have to give is our hearts. So if you have even just a banana and you offer it with love, the divine will take it. This is what I love about Krishna consciousness too. I love the aspect that it's yes, there is certain practices we do to help us elevate our consciousness, but and after that point, it's all about prema. It's about love.
Yeah.
And then when we get to that stage, it's fantastic. And you know, please everybody give us your comments on this. And I've seen some questions coming through. I really like some comments, if I may just bring them up. We've got Tripti Tiwari. She says Thursdays has never been so interesting before. Thank you. Please join in. We're trying to do this on Thursdays. Power Prayer Thursdays. It's very kind of you. And Chetan Karkekara says finding Krishna in every individual and thanking them for their service is a very, very good mood to have. It's also a way of us getting the blessings from others too. That when we have that type of mood where we are servitude and friend to others, then what happens? Naturally, they are loving back. So this is another thing that's important that we try and do. I just want to bring some questions that come in Instagram I've got as well, which I'd love to ask. Crystal, I've seen your question. I'm going to come back to it in a second. Can you hear me okay, Acyuta?
We
Are you
good.
okay? Yeah. Okay, so Aniketka's asked, and I feel like this is linked. Can you explain the importance of honesty in our spiritual life?
Yeah, for me, honesty is the basis. It is the absolute foundation of my spiritual life, my spiritual practice. Honesty is everything for me. If I can't be honest with the supreme divine person, and he always says he is just reciprocal. He says, I'm the beloved of everyone. But the only difference is I'm reciprocal. So how people approach me, that's exactly the energy I'm going to give off. I'm going to mirror that energy. So if we are lying to ourselves and lying to the divine, how do we expect that the divine will reveal himself? Which is sometimes I feel why we feel the silence. It's like, you know, I've prayed, why didn't you save me, God? But are we being honest? Are we being truthful with ourselves? Because did we wake up today? Did we take in a breath every moment? Have our lungs been taking in air? Have our lungs been working? Do we know how any of that is working? We don't. So every single one of those things is a miracle. Yes, the Lord has saved you more times than we can count. So sometimes when we say, well, why haven't you saved me? It's like a slap in the face. You know, who are we to say, why didn't you save me? We have no idea how many times we've been saved. We have no idea how many times we've been saved. But when we come with the attitude of, you know what, my Lord, you are saving me every moment. I'm now realizing how perilous my situation really is. And you've been saving me all along. Thank you. That mood of gratitude and honesty ripens our heart till it becomes the sweetest fruit it starts dripping with that love. And that is what attracts the divine.
That just reminded me, because when we say, Lord, where were you? Where have you been when I'm going through troubles? It reminds me of the Christian pastime. It's called footsteps.
Yes.
Where the footsteps.
I love this one.
This to me really helps, because, and those that haven't heard it, I'll give a very quick version, but please do check out. It's called Footsteps. Just check on Google and you'll find it. So here you had a person who basically has just passed, and as he's passing away, he sees his life flash before his eyes, and he sees himself on a beach. So he sees his life as footsteps on the sand going through, and he could see that certain parts of his life, he could see his footsteps, and then he could see another set of footsteps next to it. So they're footprints inside the sand. And then as he looked through his life, as he goes through, the times where he saw only a single set of footsteps through the sands, he realized that those were the times he had the hardest problems. And now he's with the divine. He's speaking, in this case, to Lord Jesus. And he's saying, look, my Lord, when I was going through the most troubles, look what happened. I was there alone. Where were you? You weren't there. And then the Lord said to him, my dear child, see those footsteps when they're alone? They're not yours. Those are mine. I was actually carrying you through those times. So, my dear friends, this really makes us think that the divine, we feel he may not be there. But when we look back, we'll realize, just like Steve Jobs said, with connecting the dots, that actually, you know what? You were there. These are the reasons, because he connected the dots. So similarly here, the Lord is so merciful that he helped us carry us through to get us to the next stage. The Lord will never give us anything that will break us. This is really important to understand. The divine will not give us anything that will break us. So try our best to understand what's happening in your lives and try to keep that faith. And by the way, if there's anything that you feel you like to talk about, you have Acyuta Gopi here. You can contact her in many ways on Instagram, Govinda's Girl _ lowercase Gopi. She's got a long name, but she has so much love for the divine that she calls it that long. Usually people shorten it. I had to shorten mine, but she's got so much love, she longens it. And me, I'm Jagannatha _Dasa. You can see, please do connect with us. We want to be a service to you, and let us know your realizations. So yeah, Footsteps was really good. I just I've got some more questions coming, Chris. I think this would be a nice one if you can answer, Acyuta Gopi. Yeah. So Crystal 108, thank you, Crystal, for joining. As always, really appreciate you being here. Please, may I ask a question, Prabhu? Yes, you may. As you know, I only less than a year with Bhakti, but I worry I don't say the right things when I speak to Sri Krishna in the morning. So she feels that. What's your thoughts on this?
So there is such an interesting viewpoint, new devotees, old devotees. But Srila Prabhupada says, and the foundational teaching of Krishna consciousness is that you pick up where you left off. We don't know who left off where in what previous life. So you might think of yourself, you're a new devotee, but who knows? In a previous life, you were not a new devotee. You were maybe a devotee throughout. So now you pick off, and those years are just added on. It doesn't subtract. Krishna says in devotional service, there is never any subtraction, only adding. That's it. You can only add on great things to devotional service and to loving the divine. So I, for one, don't consider you a new person, Crystal, just so you know. And as for saying the right thing, when you are expressing your heart, to the divine supreme person. I think the more we read, of course, we can get an idea of how previous spiritual teachers prayed. But when they are your personal prayers at home in your day, I don't think that there is a wrong way. And we just want to know that we want to approach it with love. We want to approach with that attitude of gratitude and humility. And what does that humility really mean? Does it mean, oh, I'm nothing and all that? It means that we have to honestly look at ourselves and our limitations, which is why that question, how important is honesty? Honesty is everything. Yeah. Honesty is real humility. My Guru Maharaj says real humility is pride in the greatness of God. Understanding, understanding that God. I couldn't have done any of this. I couldn't have woken myself up if I was not meant to wake up. I can't even get my voice back if I lose it. But I know someone who can. And I serve that great person who saves me day in, day out. That's the humility, that I can't do any of those things and I know it, but I don't have to, because my friend is with me all the time. So yeah, I don't think that there's a wrong way to pray personally. When you are praying personally, you pour out your heart, because that will induce Krishna to do the same. He says, I'm a reciprocator. If you're pouring out your heart to me, guess what? I'm going to pour my heart back out. I promise. He promises, as you surrender unto me, I reward accordingly. And we spoke about that word reward and bhajami, which means I adore. So it will induce the Lord to adore you. How do you attract the all attractive? You love him a lot.
That's it. That's the way. Love, it comes back to love. I've got, I'm looking at the time, we want a kirtan, but I've got to ask this question because it'd be good to just clarify. Drishti Naker, she says, so does that mean, and this is when we talk about services, so does that mean that we don't do different services for Krishna in the spiritual world? Question mark.
So can we just repeat the question? I think I broke up a bit.
So she said, so she said, Drishti Naker is asking, so does that mean that we don't do different services for Krishna in the spiritual world? Did you get that? Paused a bit. Let me just try and... Okay, you're back. Can you hear me?
We're back?
Okay. Can you hear me? Thumbs up?
Yeah, no? We're good.
Okay, I can hear you now. So Drishti Naker's asked, so does that mean that we don't do different services for Krishna in the spiritual world? Because we're talking about services. So I think she's just asking about the different types of services.
Yeah, I think the spiritual world is unlimited. The spiritual world, they say Radharani never cooks the same thing twice. Every single day. And she cooks so many preparations for Krishna, never cooks the same thing twice. So of course, our devotional service must vary. Krishna has an unlimited variety of tastes, an unlimited variety of ways he can enjoy. So, but it's not to say that we get bored. Even if our one service was to just be the one girl that brought cloves every day, I guarantee you, I promise you'd never be bored. Because even just that one day, even if my mother had not said, okay, you apply the ghee to Govinda, even if my job that day was just to hand her the cotton ball, I would not have been bored. Even if it was just to bring the ghee, I would not have been bored, because watching it happen, I felt like, but Krishna accepted, and he will know, my Acyuta, she brought the ghee. That's mine. That's my girl. So when we know that Krishna will look at all of us and say, that's my person, there's no worry about being bored. There's no worry about what will we do. We will do whatever our best friend needs that moment.
Wow. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to come on to, I've had some lovely messages coming through. And one of them, Rajni Raina, is that Raina, I think, yes. It is quite nectarine. More we hear about the Lord Krishna and teachings, we feel more near to him. Hearing from so beautiful persons as both of you, Krishna is speaking through his devotees. You're very kind. Please, keep blessing us and rooting, and then we will see what we can do. Really, really appreciate your help, everybody. I think it'll be lovely, Acyuta Gopi. We've got not too long. 5-minute kirtan would be just. It's always good to show the love through kirtan, especially your kirtans.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's do it. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Thank you.
Come back on. I think I can hear you now. And thank you. Thank you. This is the way to finish a session off. And by the way, everybody, Kirtan really helps to connect our heart to the divine. I see it as the glue when it comes to association to keep everyone together too. So please do some Kirtan. And thank you. If everybody's loving what you're hearing, please do check out Acyuta Gopi's book, because she shares these realizations, and this book is her heart. So it's www.mybook.to/prema, Prema. And the book itself, I was going to put the picture on, but you've got lovely Radharani back. I'll just put it on. Please forgive me, just on the other channels. Prema Mala, it's called. It looks like that, and I'll try and share pictures on stories for those on Instagram. So thank you. And I just want to say also, if anybody would love to celebrate and get closer to the divine, we have a lovely festival coming up. I'm going to put a picture, it'll cover me. It's called the World Holy Name Festival. And it's happening on the 17th to the 23rd of September. You will see so many different amazing souls. Acyuta Gopi spoke about seeking out those people. These are like very senior people. And in this festival, we have the whole week where amazing, elevated, Krishna conscious people are going to be speaking. They are just amazing souls. And on top of that, we'll be having an amazing thing called Global Kirtan Connect. 24 hours of non-stop kirtan from 24 time zones. This is going to be amazing. And you may even see some people that you're seeing here today on there. So all I'm saying is, please do check it out. And just head over to Kirtan Ministry. So they got a Facebook page, ISKCON Kirtan Ministry. And also on the website, it's www.kirtanministry.com. So I just wanted everybody just to know about this amazing festival going on, and love you all to be part of it. So please do. And Acyuta Gopi, as always, today has been so nice. I'll let you all into a secret. Me and Acyuta Gopi speak about what we want to talk about. And today she said, Jagannatha, before we go on to the next part, I like to just say, I feel like we should speak about, okay, we talk about people that power pray, but what next? So this today has just been us just being open with you both, all of you. And we thought, yeah, let's do that. So just 5 minutes before we were going to air, this was the thing. So thank you, Acyuta Gopi, for always bringing out the best. I really appreciate that. And please, everybody, keep tuned in. Check out her book. And also on Saturday, I'll be speaking to an amazing soul. Like she said, seek out those people. So I've seeking out one of the first Scottish disciples of Srila Prabhupada. I'll be speaking to him on Saturday. His name is His Grace Dhananjaya Prabhu. So that will be on Mayapur TV and other channels on Facebook. And I'll be sharing that information. So until then, thank you everybody for joining. And thank you, Acyuta Gopi. Looking forward to next week.
Yes.
Join us every Thursdays for Power Prayer Thursdays, isn't it, Acyuta Gopi?
Yeah. Best way.
Thank you. So Hare Krishna.